Welcome back. Just over 23,000 public school pupils in Gauteng are still without a space just weeks before the end of the year. The Education Department insists, however, they will be placed soon. At the same time, close to 6,000 pupils have forfeited their places after failing to indicate whether or not they would accept their placements. Now, many parents have also expressed their frustration with the new placement system. We're joined by the department's spokesperson, Steve Mabona. You can also be part of the discussion by calling in on 011 759 6340. We'll give that number to you again, 011 759 6340. Steve, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
Let's start with the numbers. Over 23,000 unplaced. Why haven't they been placed, and how long before they are?
Look, as the department, we're working tirelessly to make sure that the over 23,000 learners are placed. As you will know, that we've placed over, 220, already. And looking at the applications, we're coming from over 285. So we are working tirelessly to make sure that we place everyone. But you see, our challenge is that there are those that did not submit documents. Over 21,000 learners we had to, remove from the system. So that we will probably entertain them at a later stage. The 6,000 odd number, again, we had to also, take them out of the system because they could not confirm whether they, accept or they don't accept the placement. And as a department, we are committed that we will place the over 23,000 learners in our schools.
So I wanted to return to the 21,000 who've been removed from the system because they didn't submit their documents. Is there any way to indicate why they haven't been doing this?
There's different reasons coming from the public. Remember, when we started the week, we said there was over 34,000. After we made some noises and the public announcement, at least the number reduced. But we can still see that there are people who did not submit the documents, and for us, we really need to move because there are people who need some space, and hence we felt that let's remove them from the system and move with those that they have submitted, and we really need to make sure that we place them. Many challenges in other areas. We have a shortage of schools, one might put it that way, or parents not willing to take the schools that we are giving them. It's a challenge for us. We just want to plead with the parents to say, if we place you in a school that you don't want, the challenge is that where are we going to place? Because most of those schools are full that they want. I mean, a school that will take 200 or 250 in terms of their capacity, you will have over 1,000 applications. Surely about 900 parents will be aggrieved. They will tell you that they don't want this school, or you don't want this one, or nothing. So it's quite a challenge, most especially in the Tshwane South. We're talking about the Centurion, in your Pretoria East area. I mean, when you place parents in an alternative school, probably 10 kilometers away from home, you will receive, complaints. But we are saying we are challenged because we cannot place, everyone at one school, and we cannot overcrowd the schools because once we overcrowd schools, then we'll have complaints from the same parents, we'll have complaints from teachers, and the entire community will be saying, but how do you expect learners to learn in such an environment? So we just plead for cooperation and understanding. We know that it's not easy to tell a parent that you cannot access this school because they would have actually applied. Because some will tell you that we applied on time, on the same day. But our argument will be, you might have applied an hour late, or 30 minutes late, because there are schools that were full in the first, 10 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes.
So let's look at the 6,000 who have completely forfeited their places. What happens to these learners? Is there another opportunity for them to apply again, or is this it? The opportunity is gone?
Look, we have a constitutional obligation to admit everyone. We felt that we need to proceed with our system because there are people who are willing to be placed. Those that have forfeited already because they couldn't tell us on whether they are taking those schools or not. So it was difficult for us to even entertain them further in the system. Hence we felt that let's remove them from the system and we will entertain them at a later stage. Surely, when we are done with the 23, we'll come back and say, this is the way forward. But we can't even now talk about anything because we still have a challenge of the over 23,000, and there are those parents that don't want, certain schools. So we are trying to persuade and make sure that those that are willing to take those schools, then they take them. Because we can't do anything, because you can't really overcrowd schools. You don't want to inconvenience other parents. And we understand their frustrations. But what we are saying, when parents receive a confirmation that they have space and they arrive at the school and they are being sent from pillar to post, we have a challenge with that. Because we interacted with our officials from the districts and the schools to say, you can't be moving parents from pillar to post because now you are actually compromising our system. When one has a confirmation that is placed at a certain school, when they come at the school, principals and their administrators must not be reluctant to confirm or accept rather their placement, because they are now challenging the system if they don't confirm those placements. So they need to confirm the placements in the system.
Well, I've just been told that we've got a caller now, wants to remain anonymous, but from Middelburg. You can go ahead.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, hello.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm very well, thank you. And yourself, sir?
Good, good.
What is your question?
Yes, my concern it's quite easy. In Middelburg, we have a challenge with the placement. You apply in time for the grade 1. However, you get a confirmation that your child is not accepted. And all the schools, they don't give you reasons why it's like that. You go to the Department of Education, you get attitude from the Department of Education. I'm not sure how the department expects us to deal with the situation, or maybe is it the shortage of the school in Middelburg or what? But I think we are not treated fairly when we question the Department of Education.
All right, there you have it. What do you have to say to that?
Look, Mpumalanga, Middelburg is Mpumalanga, but we know that our officials, they're supposed to be assisting people or, parents when they arrive, they come at their district offices. We will convey, it's just that, the caller is anonymous, but we would have conveyed the message to Mpumalanga for them to follow it through and make sure that they investigate on the, allegation. What is it that is happening? It would have been fair actually to have the exact school and the area where the challenge is. But we will convey a message to Mpumalanga to look at Middelburg schools and the district there, because the allegation is that our officials are not treating our people well, which is quite concerning, as the department will always preach that our employees need to be professional, they need to attend to anyone that comes to our department. So it's quite unfortunate, but we will convey to Mpumalanga to do something about it.
Right, we've got another caller on the line. Norma, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to ma'am. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Yourself. What's your question?
I'm well, thanks. My question is about the Pretoria district. I've applied on time, and I've always followed up on my application on the system, and the response I keep getting is the district is dealing with my application. When I call the district, I've been sent from post to pillar, and I am getting so frustrated by this system because we've applied on time. Yes, I accept that the school might be full, but give me another option. You tell me to actually come through to Pretoria, and I work in Joburg and I stay in Pretoria. So when do I get the time? I'm a single parent, unfortunately, so I need to make ends meet on a daily basis. So how do I get a school for my child? Now I'm forced to go into a private school where I'm going to be indebted into that school, where I'm paying about 40 or 50,000 rand per annum.
Okay, thank you very much for your question, Norma. Steve?
Look, it's quite a challenge for us. Like as we said, Tshwane South and Ekurhuleni North. Ekurhuleni North will take your Pinoni, Kempton Park, Tembisa, all those areas. Tshwane South, it's Centurion, and your Pretoria East. We have challenges there. But we said over 1,500 learners were not placed or are not placed as yet in the Tshwane South. So we're working tirelessly just to make sure that we find a mechanism or alternative. We know that our challenge is your high schools, we don't have enough. There's a lot of grade 8 that we did not place. But we will announce on what is the plan, because there's a plan that we are actually working on. We should be in a position to announce the plan on what is it that we're going to do on all the grade 8 that we could not place, most especially in the Centurion area and Pretoria East. So there's a plan for us which we'll announce, but we wanted to make sure that we finalize on what is it that we're going to do. But we know, we acknowledge that in that area we have a challenge of actually capacity. That is, we don't have enough schools in the corridor that they have mentioned.
Let's take another call now. Mr. Ngaiya from Naturina. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, and you, sir?
I'm good. Yeah. Afternoon, Steve.
I'm good, and you?
I'm good, Sam. Sir, I'm confirming all those challenges that they are saying there is true. We all go through the same situation whereby we are not treated okay, and then there's a lot of explanation, different explanation about the whole system. But now, my take was, if you apply and then you choose 5 schools, it's supposed to be the system must then place you into one school, and then you do a follow-up on that one school. But now you can't apply in the system for 5 schools, and then the system also calls you in every of those 5 schools. You understand? It's better if you apply in the system, and then the system gives you one school, and then you focus on that school, and then you make follow-ups on that school. You put your applications, and then but you can't go all around all these other schools. It's not fair, because I'm also thinking of the old people, Abomakoko. How do they do with the system when they are supposed to take their grandchildren to schools?
Okay. Steve?
Look, the issue on the submission of documentation, probably I think that's the crime. Unfortunately, when we place, those documents are quite significant or quite important, we need to have. Because remember, when you go to grade 1, that child is new in that environment. When you go to grade 8, same applies, because you admit someone that you don't know. So it becomes difficult for a school to even consider if there's no documentation, because they need to confirm. I mean, it's your identity, it's your clinic, history, whether the child has been taken, well taken care of in terms of your immunization process. Those that are, illegal immigrants, whether you identify those are legal immigrants, they should be documented, and we need to conform with our immigration, regulations. So it's quite important that we have documentation. Unfortunately, you need to then submit documents in all the schools that you've applied to. And when we said people must apply to 5 schools, we were broadening the scope of them being, admitted at least at 1. But some parents will apply in 5 high-pressure schools. High-pressure schools, I'm talking about schools that everyone wants to be there. And their reference number will say WB, because we said if you see a WB, chances are very slim that you're going to access the school. Your reference should be WA, where you stand a chance. But so some parents will apply, yes, for 5 schools, but with a limited chance of them, getting, into the school, because we have regulations, to adhere to. You don't look at only you applied first. You might have applied first, but if you don't meet other requirements in terms of our admission regulations, then it becomes a challenge for us. Yeah. The next parent will then stand a better chance than you.
Okay, let's go back to the lines. Tapelo from Pretoria, good afternoon.
Hello?
Hi, Tapelo, yes, you can ask.
It's not Tapelo, it's in Veronica.
Oh, my apologies, Veronica.
Yes, ma'am. I have a problem. I've since, on the 17th, I think, of April, when the applications opened, I've since applied my son at 4 schools, and I've already submitted the documents as they requested within 7 days. However, they still have not placed him.
Okay. Okay. Steve, I think the question really is then, I mean, what is the advice for parents whose children have not been placed? If they're one of the unfortunate ones that are still waiting, what is the advice that you have? Because obviously parents must be panicking at this point.
Look, we want to appeal to parents not to panic as yet. We will be making sure that we place the 23,000, learners, and we should be in a position to say, out of the 23, how many, in terms of looking at the number of those that we took out of the system, must also go back and look at those. But those that they've submitted documents and they are still waiting, we have communicated with the schools. We are watching this process very closely now. We'll be meeting actually with the team every day. There are officials that will be visiting the districts just to make sure that everything goes as per the plan. So we anticipate that a lot of them will be placed, by the 31st of October, which is the deadline that we've actually announced, when we started with this process, because we knew that we'll make sure that we place them. I mean, last year, during this time, we were actually, the number was a little bit higher because we started a little bit late. But now we started early, which is April, so that gave us more time for us to can place everyone. But those that really need to get more clarity, they can still visit the district offices, just to get more clarity, because we are now, looking at it very closely. We are monitoring all the districts just to make sure that, everything is done as per the book and all learners will be placed.
Okay, let's take another call. Michael from Pretoria, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Michael.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon. How are you?
Well, thank you, and yourself. So your line's a bit faint. Could you maybe just speak up a little bit?
Okay, yes.
Okay, that's better. Can you just give Steve your question?
Yes, my question is like this. My son, I did apply for him in very early when the application was started online. So I applied for my son. So it was very, very early. And I chose only one school, which is Arcadia Primary School. Unfortunately, when they took long before they got back to us, and then I realized that the boy was placed in a school very far from home. So up to this moment, I haven't even gone to the department, because they said I should go to the department to complain and see what can they do, because where he's going, where they placed him is very, very far from home. Despite the fact that I submitted application on time at the school, and then online I applied on time. So I don't know whether, because the placement now has not even gone to accept it up to this moment.
Okay.
So that is the school I want the boy to go. Now I have to end up, because I want to take him out of the private school where he is. So I just want him to tell me what can we do in that regard. Thank you.
Is there any remedy for that, Steve? If somebody really is very far, we're not talking about 10 kilometers here. What if somebody is placed in a school 20 or 30 kilometers away? Because that's very impractical.
No, look, we don't go to that extent. I mean, there are exceptional cases where you really need to look at all elements of that application. Hence, it's important for them to visit the district office and say, look, this is what you gave me, and what is it that you can do to, rectify probably what you might have done. So we understand. People will say, I applied early, yes. But everyone will say, I applied early. Because remember, the system on the first day when we open for everyone, including people who are outside the country, because it's on the net, it's on the wires everywhere. So you just go in there and access. Those that were fortunate to be in the queue, or who managed not to have, log-in challenges, because you know that there are those that who were, experienced challenges when coming to logging in. They could not log in on time. But rest assured, our system did not have glitches.
You insist on that, no glitches?
No, not glitches. I mean, we learned from the 2016 debacle. We learned from that. Remember, in 2016, we experienced so many challenges, and we had glitches there. And 2017, we improved our system. We changed. We had to increase the capacity of the server. We had to change on some of the things that we were doing just to make sure that, and we increased the number of you know, when you access the system, the number of logins, or, you know, we increased the capacity. And 2018, now we are flying. I mean, we are flying. We didn't have glitches. I mean, 2017, there was some address challenges, but that was not really a system. It was a human element. It was not a system challenge. But this one, we are moving, and we are indebted to all, you know, partners who are in this program to say, look, this is the way to go, because we can plan ahead using this system.
Okay, let's take another call. Anonymous from Vanderbijl Park. Good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, and yourself, sir?
Yeah, very well, thanks. I would like to pose a question to Steve. I've applied to about 5 schools here in Vanderbijl Park. 2 of those are high-pressure schools, and the others are Afrikaans-only schools. So I'm told the 2 are high-pressured, the others are Afrikaans-only school. And I cannot take my children to an Afrikaans-only school. So I think most of the primary schools around our area are Afrikaans-only within our area. So I think the department has to look into how do we allow black people, black young kids to get access into Afrikaans-only schools.
Okay. Yeah, this is a problem that keeps creeping up, doesn't it, Steve? What happens when you're in a specific area, but there is something like an English-only or an Afrikaans-only school? What do you do?
When we make noise about single medium, especially Afrikaans, the Afrikaans community, or let me say some, people in the Afrikaans community, political parties, they say we want to kill Afrikaans, we want to do away with Afrikaans, because we want learners to access those schools. So we will preach the message that accessibility is key. The single medium Afrikaans school especially, we really need to access them. Those that their numbers are changing, to say numbers are dwindling in terms of them having the single medium or African speaking, you know, people or learners only. There's English speaking people who want to access those schools. We really need to make sure that we move. But remember,
there is a problem with space, though. That is a problem. You can't deny that. Because if a school's full, let's say it does happen to be full of only Afrikaans-speaking learners, where do they get the classroom space? Is the department going to be building more classrooms?
No,
how does it work?
It's not all of them that they are full. They will make an excuse that they are full. Hence, we said that the only person that must say a school is full is the HOD. And hence, we are amending our regulations. Moving forward, the HOD will be saying, according to what I know in terms of that school, because our officials would have done some groundwork, they will tell us that the capacity at this school, this is the number. We're not going to rely on the school and the SGB to say this is their capacity. The capacity must be declared by the HOD, then we'll be knowing that the school is not full.
But what about resources as well? That's the other thing that keeps creeping up. Resources, which teachers are going to be then teaching the pupils who, are speaking a different language?
No, but it's our responsibility as the department to make sure that schools have teachers. We have a responsibility to make sure that there's learner material, there's furniture. So we have a responsibility to do that. Once we identify that the numbers are dictating that we need to introduce an English class at least, the school should be amenable to that change. The school should then go back and say, this is our policy is single medium. We need to change to parallel medium. Parallel medium, it means they will be in a position to continue teaching Afrikaans, not in insinuation that we want to kill Afrikaans. They will still continue with teaching with Afrikaans, and you'll also have English that will be introduced in that school. Gradually, you will have more English classes depending on the demographics in that area, because our argument is very clear that the society is changing. There's nowhere in the country where you find Afrikaans-speaking people residing by themselves. That's our argument, and we are very strong on that. They can say we want to kill Afrikaans. We don't want to kill Afrikaans, but we want accessibility, and it's going to happen.
Okay, Rachoni, you're on the line.
Hello, Mr. Mabona.
Hi, my brother. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I think I got another opinion here. I'm calling from the province of Mpumalanga. Unfortunately, the discussion is based on schools around Gauteng, but we still got the same problem around Mpumalanga. I think why can't the department, not Gauteng in particular, but with all these other provinces, improve infrastructure, schools in rural areas and semi-urban areas, wherein schools can be resourced and have enough facilities so that parents can send their children there. Because I think the reason why majority of us are flocking to formal model schools is because of the resources. Maybe we can try and solve this problem of placements.
Okay, well, that's another good point, because a lot of parents would rather their children go to a school that's very well resourced, perhaps in an urban area, rather than, let's say, in a township which isn't as well resourced.
But you will know that in Gauteng, I mean, we've been building schools and we've been building township schools. We built over 44 schools. We know that in some quarters we are being accused of being biased to the townships, but we are saying, you know, when you look at the resources, townships deserve to be, you know, well taken care of. Hence, we then now moving into the areas where we feel that we also need to accommodate. But each and every province has a plan on how to improve the infrastructure. I mean, all MECs, including the minister, they sit in meetings where they agree on what is it that they're going to do when coming to infrastructure. Where there's a concern, we need to improve and make sure that we build.
But it's a slow process, though. That's the thing. It's not happening overnight, and in the meantime, we've got people waiting.
I'm not sure when you say the process is slow. I mean,
well, infrastructure development, it doesn't happen overnight, does it?
Look, but looking at where we come from and looking at what is it that we have, you know, put on the table now. I'm saying we built 44 schools. I mean, a school that was worth over 100 million, you know, when you look at the space that we utilize, it's quite phenomenal. I mean, if you can say what we did as the department. But we are saying there are plans, our plans are afoot to make sure that where there's a shortage of schools are in a process of being built. And we are forging ahead to make sure that we partner, if it comes to a push, that we partner with the, you know, the private sector. We're going to do that to make sure that at least there's probably PPP where we agree that we build a school and the modalities, we take responsibility of how the school is being managed. And that's what we're going to be doing as a department.
Okay, we're running out of time, so let's take one last caller. Muzi from Krugersdorp, good afternoon. Sorry, Busi from Krugersdorp.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Your question, please.
Yes, ma'am. I applied for my child, and then I was... when I check on the website on the 28th of September, I noticed that my child was placed at Monument High School. So I went to the district just to confirm, and they confirmed to say, yes, the child has been placed at Monument High School. Then they said I must go to the school. When I went to the school, the principal said, you know, he doesn't understand how they place my child because they are full. So now I don't know what to do. And then I even phoned the national office. I send the emails to them. And all the time they tell me I must go to school, I must go to school. When I go to the school, the principal said, no, I'm full. I don't know how were you placed, how was your child placed here. So I don't know where is my child going to now.
Okay, Steve, what advice do you have?
Look, thanks very much. Monument is a high-pressure school as well. And we know that there are parents that when they go to the district, there's a confirmation that they are accepted at the school. And when they go to the school, then there's a challenge. We have communicated with all the principals and that to make sure that they, you know, interact with their administrators to say where there's a confirmation, they need to make sure that they release those offers, you know, just make sure that they approve those parents. So I will advise her to go to the school. And if there are challenges there, she can then interact with us, because we said we're going to interact with the principals to say This is unacceptable. They can't be taking, parents from pillar to post. And as well, we said we're going to be meeting with the districts, on a continuous basis. From Monday, we'll be meeting with them actually almost every day, just to make sure that this process is managed. So if she has challenges, you can then probably revert to us. Our number is always there, available. She can call back the studio. They will give her the contact detail.
Okay. Tapelo, you're on the line.
Yes, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks, and you, sir. What's your question?
Quick question to Steve. Steve.
My brother, I'm listening. Yes. I'm good, and you?
Good. Listen here, is it possible for you as the department to get a transfer for grade 1 learners? The reason I'm asking is that I applied to 5 schools, né? And then I was sending an SMS to choose which school I would like my son to attend. And then now with them, I accidentally pressed one school and I accepted my son. Now all 4 schools that are remaining, they said my son still has space. I just need to go to Department of Education to sort it out with them. So is that possible to get a transfer from one school to another?
Quite hectic now. You have accepted the school,
When
so
he says it
you are
was a
placed
mistake.
there. We did receive such calls. A sizable number of those who will say it was a mistake that I accepted this school. But unfortunately, because the system is it's systematic, it's a process. When you click, it's gone. So it becomes a challenge now for us to effect that transfer if we are not done even with the process of placing other children. Because what are you saying to the parent that is waiting in the list? It's supposed to be the next one in the school, and you have this learner that is coming from school A to be in front of the other parents. It's systematic. It's quite a challenge for us to can transfer currently.
Okay, so perhaps then in the next year. And then finally, let's take Lepogo from Centurion. Good afternoon.
Good day. Can I go ahead?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Yes. Okay, mine is 2 quick points, really. One, a comment commending Steve and the leadership of Panyaza Lesotho in terms of, I think, as a department, they're really trying to do their best to assist everyone. But I think, and the automation is helping, but the automation without the culture change is a problem. I think I've personally had to escalate 2 issues to Steve himself. And the reason that has had to happen is because I don't think the culture has changed at the bottom. You have an automated process, but you don't have a culture underneath that is underpinning it and supporting the automated processes. That was my question. And then the second issue is I have a son who's 7-year-old on a waiting list for the eNCA School of Autism. And I'm not the only person that is faced with this kind of challenge. You have a situation where you have over 10 private schools, 10 autism private schools in the Centurion area alone, but only 1 public school. I think it's an anomaly that you have 1 public school versus 10 private schools. It then means that autism is almost seen as a condition that can only affect the elite. People that do not have the means, their kids will not have access to autism-specific education programs. Okay. Are there any plans to expand the number of autism schools, not only in Centurion, but Gauteng in general?
Okay, Steve, what do special needs parents like Lepogo do?
Thank you very much. Look, the issue of learners with special needs, I mean, especially their schools, when MEC, started in 2014, that's one priority that he identified to say, look, you can't have these learners that are treated as not as being part of the Department of Education. He said, to put it in his way, you can't give them crumbs, in terms of the accessibility to education. You need to budget for them. You need to make sure that they are well taken care of.
But are you budgeting for them?
Yes, we built a over 245 million school in Lyndhurst, where we've launched that school. We had challenges to occupy because of us not having a certificate, but then that was resolved after a struggle, one must say. But the school is quite fully operational, and it's going to take quite a dent in terms of your waiting list, in terms of learners that are residing in a school, taking a good care of the learners with special needs. But there's in the process, we identified about 25 schools that we must have, at the end of the period. But we are almost over 18 schools that have been refurbished, that we are allocating, resources just to make sure that these learners are treated as the same as the learners that you have in other schools. So we're not going to ill-treat them or treat them differently. So we are expanding in that score. We are moving, our target is about 25 schools. So we are now at about 18. So we are, making inroads to accommodate, learners with special need.
So you're getting there. Steve Mabona, the Gauteng Education Department spokesperson, thank you very much for giving a part of your Sunday afternoon to answer all our questions.